lovelies. Good morning. Hope that you're having a great day and that you had a restful sleep and that you dreamt of all the good things. And I definitely had a restful sleep. I had a severe migraine yesterday, and I usually find that I get that when I don't do my morning shakes. Like, I literally got home and my body was like screaming for some veggies, some fruits, because in the morning I usually do that, but if I don't have any left and I'm in a rush, excuse me, I just drank one. I'm in a rush. Sometimes I'll pick up a bagel and a coffee, and that's not real nutrition. You're not getting the nutrients you need to keep you going. So I felt myself like crashing, right? So, you'll see me in different, capacities, right? Depending on what I'm going through in the day. And you know what? Sometimes when you only have a little bit of time, you're just going to upload and it doesn't matter. If you see some of my videos, I can be really dressed up and fancy. And other times I'm dressing down. Well, if I'm just leaving work or if I'm going to the gym or I went to the tanning salon, like whatever, like you're not going to wear your best clothes. Like, it's stupid. And also, people need to see that there are real parts to your life too, because how is it going to look, I feel like, only on camera when you're super dressed up? Like, what is this, backstage with all the costume changes? So at my job, I do work in the office, but sometimes, I help in the warehouse. I may help bring in a pallet off the truck, because I like to be helpful. This is a team situation, right? Most people, if they had that type of attitude, more things would get done. And also, I like to dress down a little bit because, yes, I'm very wise, very wise. And sometimes I can bring a lot of attention to myself without even trying, okay? I don't think I'm all that. I don't think whatever. I just know human nature. So it's kind of like I'm trying to be understated, although some people will probably think, oh, a tomboy, she's this. Listen, I have no history of dating women. Let's get that clear, okay? Never had that issue in my life. I'm a girl's girl. I can get along with women really nicely. And yes, my name is Diana. I cannot help that she was this pagan cult leader for the alternative lifestyle. And anytime people use the word pride, it does not have to mean pride parade, okay? When I say people have too much pride or whatever, a lot of you guys really need to just listen to words as they're being said. Some of you guys really try to infer, like, oh, this string of words is code for that. Like, it's not always like that. People are just trying to speak plainly, okay? Sometimes they may have a little accent, in New England, hey, they all say we sound like that. We sound a little rough and tough. Not my problem. I do try to sound as dainty as I can, but at the same time, the softer I act around male-dominated spaces, the more they'll get the wrong idea. And I think you guys all know that, right? And even when I'm minding my business, like this week, it's been a little strange. We've had the sales gentleman come in and offer a cell phone service. And we already said, leave your contact information. We'll get back to you. We'll relay it to the person that needs to review it. And if he's interested, he'll reach out. That's it. Be done. Then he was trying to ask for my personal number. Then he was trying to flirt a little, but this kid had a really high-pitched voice, and I'm not going to automatically assume you're like that, because there are a lot of men with higher pitched voice, women with lower pitched voice. What do I know, right? So I'm like, I have a little naivete about me, right? I'm always giving people the benefit of the doubt. And so he was, kind of being a little flirty, and I'm like, is he, being a little too chummy? And then he was like, I was like, how old are you? Because just the fact that he was, doing all this stuff, and he's like, old enough. And I'm like, what? And then he was like, oh, can I get your personal number? I'm like, I was like, why, you want to be my friend? He's like, we'll see about that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds so wrong. Like, why are you trying to act like you're like, it's feminine, and it's not gonna turn a woman on that's straight when you talk like that, you know what I mean? Now I'm gonna wanna like talk about, I'm gonna treat you like a girl bestie, right? So he came back in again. Like this was the day before yesterday. So he comes back in again, guys. So I'm in my car. It's facing the street where he was walking because I guess when you do door to door sales or whatever, they have like a radius and they'll go to different spots. So I'm like, oh man, here we go again. Like I have nothing left to say. So he's like walking by me like this. He didn't know what type of car I had, so I'm like sitting in the car, and then I like took my phone, and I was like, yeah, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm gonna be home at this time. That's how you gotta do. Get your damn phone. Even if you gotta call somebody, call somebody. So he walks by. He goes back into the store. Now the gentleman I was working with, he was on the phone, counseling, advising if you have tech issues, we can help you over the phone. We do the best we can, right? So he was doing that. So this guy walks all the way in, and he goes all the way in the back to where this gentleman was sitting, right? And just waiting, waiting, waiting. And so the guy's like, you can leave your information, anything you have for us. We, again, repeating what I said, and that's it, right? It was kind of like he was stalling, right? So I go back in, and I go to my desk, and I'm like... But my body language was really stern, really like closed off and stuff. Because I'm like, you just never know, guys. Especially being on here, you just never know who's sending who your way, if that's the case. I mean, it could just be natural. But you're like, people are clowns, we already know. So I go in and he walks by me while I was at my desk, obviously. And then he walks by and he puts his hand on the counter. And then I noticed he like paints his fingernails, like he had clear coat, which is fine if, because I know there are some straight rocker guys that do that. That's your prerogative. But that coupled with the very dainty disposition, not an ugly guy by any stretch of the imagination, I'm not saying that. It was a very, you know what I mean, very soft disposition, right? And then you have that. And then he's like... Well, nice seeing you again, miss. Have a great day. Like, how they talk, okay? So I was like, wow, why do I always attract? I'm not saying always, but some people, they'll mistake me for either being, you know what I mean, part of their group, which I'm not. I never been, never would want to be. Like, what are we talking about? I couldn't even date a guy, like, I don't want to be insensitive, but I had an ex who used to admit that he would masturbate. And I was so disgusted just from that, knowing that he pleasured himself with his own hand. To me, that was already pretty, gay, right? So I was like, oh, like you get off just, you're molesting yourself. Like, why do you need a woman? You are... Like, that's weird, right? So, to me, like, I am over analytical like that. That will bother me enough, and I can't date, like, metro guys, or I see a lot of guys, they think it's so cute, like, wearing pink all the time, like, they want to hijack everything from a woman. Hey, again, that's on you, but that's just another step in the wrong direction for me. And you can think, oh, I can be brutish or whatever. Only when I'm mad, then I'm going to yell at you. Yeah, because I'm small. And if you're like a lot bigger than me, what other weapon do I have, right? You need to bark. You need to show some sign of aggression to back up the person that, is challenging you, right? Or making you feel unsafe. That's not masculine, okay? Women throughout centuries, that's actually the most feminine thing, right? Because when a man yells and screams and all of that, we call that feminine, right? So now they're trying to dehumanize us and then take those virtues or features that they hated about us and keep them for themselves? I think not, right? And it's really one of those things you got to keep a lookout, because some are really close to their moms. Great if they see, hey, I'm like an auntie to them, like a younger mom type. Hey, cool. But a lot of times they have issues with women, and they're struggling with their own identity, right? And they look to her, and they almost want to, like, pick from her aesthetic or whatever, and like kind of infuse it into their psyche, right? Because you have a lot of like these huge like guys who try to be uber masculine. You see that a lot with the so-called athletes, and they're wearing little pink accent shoes or this, and I'm like, you might as well be prancing in front of me in a pink tutu. Psychologically, subconsciously, that's what I'm thinking when I'm looking at you, is that, you want to be a little fairy princess, right? And then, they'll go out into public, like I was sharing some of like the Chris Clowns of the world. They'll come out and they'll try to talk to you in public, or they'll try to, pick you up, or whatever they try to do, these, con artists, right? Because I'm not in the market, but I'm there, and they don't know any better, that they're still going to try, right? And sometimes you can tell the kind of upbringing they had. They were either overly coddled by their mothers, or they're emotionally starved for her attention. And it comes out really differently, to the point where it's like they will try to hurt whoever that will remind them of their mother. They may try to control their mother's social life or personal life and things like that, right? And it might be a very tit-for-tat relationship. She could have been a single mother, and he's picked up some of those traits, right? And again, some are harmful and others are okay. Like the one that was coming to my job, he's a little bit forward. We're keeping an eye on him, but he's very, he does have like a calm demeanor. But if he comes back in today, we're going to be like, okay, you need to go. We don't need any service. Now it's going to feel like you're fishing around, because we've already said what we had to say. You had all the contact numbers, right? So I don't know what that is to attract, someone who's a little bit more fluid. I understand that in Rome, Diana was the priestess of all that stuff, although I don't think she was like that, but I don't know the whole story. It is what it is. I just like that archetype because she was, a tough chick. And in the cartoons, nothing about her said she was gay. Okay? And I used to pick on her name, Diana Prince, when I'm like, oh, it should be Diana Princess. But if she married a prince or Prince Charming, then you are taking the man's last name. So that would make sense if she was married, is all I'm saying. But guys, you have to, be cognizant of these things. Everybody's raised a little bit differently. But a lot of people take their cues from the music industry, which we all knew is very, very fluid. So that's why, some of us have to just stay independent, because you hang out with certain people and the higher you go. And I've seen that with some, friends or families that gone higher into other tiers and stuff. And yeah, you start to meet more of like the freakies and the weirdos, and, the ones that, you'll get asked to go to parties and all that. And you're like, no, I'm a homebody. I don't do any of that stuff, right? And you will feel that, right? You might, get asked out, oh, come over to my, like, no, I'm not doing that. I practice safety. I go home, like, we can get along, but, I am very conservative, although people want to think, oh, you live in Massachusetts, you must be liberal. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I'm a libertarian. I actually know something about balance, and I think more people should, instead of being so extreme. Do you like being extra cold? Do you like being extra hot? Or do you like being right in the middle, nice and warm, right? So when you look at both sides, you see that's just a lot of indoctrination right there. But what I'm noticing is that, if you're like a strong, assertive woman, right? And I can be really dainty. I can only be in a relationship with like a salt of the earth type of guy. My man is as straight as they come. He doesn't do all this weird shit like guys nowadays getting, doing weird shit to their hair, or guys who don't even let you touch their hair or touch this, but they want you to touch their peen. You guys are out of your mind. It's a cultural thing, but you can go and try to grab women. You can try to grab them in all different spots or whatever. That's okay with you, right? It's a cultural thing for me too, to be treated like with the utmost respect, to be courted properly, okay, to be wined and dined, yes, all that fun stuff, right? I'm sorry some people weren't raised right, or to have a good example. And when you hit the nail on the head and you call them out, now all of a sudden they want to be extra fake again. Now they're back online. I love my mommy so much. I choose her every time. You're probably a scourge to your mother, because I can tell by how some of you guys treat women when you're out in public. Even the subtle ones. I'm pretty sure, right, you are a damn problem, okay? And I could tell because a lot of what people do is it's a total rebellion on any type of structure that they may have had growing up or anything like that. And sometimes you got to be a little tough with these people because they will treat you like an easy target, and I'm too petite and all that, so I got to be extra careful, okay? I know what it is, right, to be like picked up and like all this weird stuff, right? When someone's mad at you, they'll try to pick you up like that. Yeah, I've had an older brother try that shit, but I learned how to be strong because that's just what it is. I've had a strong grandmother, two strong grandmothers. The women in my family, it is more or less a little bit matriarchal, although the women are always married. We always have men in our lives and stuff, but the women are the ones sometimes to, kind of be the planners and, kind of have the blueprint so the men, can materialize it and stuff like that. So a lot of us are like, the brains of the operation, and, we have like that general vibes type of deal, right? And in my song, I put 4-star general because I do have a 4-star passport. It's a diplomatic passport. And, I'm very proud of that. I worked really hard on that. So I'm really big on teaching people how to move morally, correctly, and lawfully, right? And you are going to get tested sometimes too, because people may not like what you're going to say because they are abusive. So they may try to find you out in public. Shoot, I wouldn't put anything past people paying each other to try to troll people in public. So as soon as, if you haven't been vetted and you approach me, I'm already going to assume that right away. So, I'll be nice. You can chat and do whatever, but then I'm going to keep it moving, and that's it, right? And that's why, I like to dress a little bit down. Obviously, we can get a little dusty, although I am in the office. Some days I can dress up a little bit more, but I've noticed sometimes I just like to be a little bit covered up, and plus, there's just too many weirdos out there, and if people want to think, oh, I'm a butch, I'm this, if that's going to help them leave me alone, that's fine. That's fine. Believe whatever the hell you want. I don't give a crap. It's pretty crazy that, when I say things like, oh, if I wasn't married, I'd be abstinent, that means I don't like guys. No, I probably just didn't like you, because you probably came at me really, really distasteful. And so, what's to like in that respect, right? So it's okay to, I'm really cool with everyone. I try to be respectful, but obviously we see that there's a blurred line. It's almost like YouTube and Hollywood is like merging together. It's like, I can't help that other people on here, they might see my channel, they might listen to one thing. I may attract a lot of gay men who like my content and think I'm funny and witty and all of that stuff. So, hey, I don't want to alienate people, but at the same time, if that's your thing, I don't want to date you either. Like, I would be the type to have a problem if a guy told me, yeah, I dated someone of my own sex in the past. I'd be like, okay, well, you're not fully straight. Even if you did it once, there's a problem there. Okay, if you kissed the other partner, I've never did any of those things. Okay, so I don't appreciate the bullshit comments, right? And I don't usually wear hats, but I have been, because sometimes when I have my hair down and I'm at work, it's all flying around when you're doing a bunch of stuff, so it keeps it all in place. And my cool little Volkswagen pink Q hat came in, and my coworker, he also has a souped up Volkswagen, so I'm gonna come and he's gonna be like, "Oh, I want a hat now." But yeah, guys, people are really, really curious out there. A lot of guys are going to be drawn to you, but not always for the reasons that you think. They could just be looking for a bestie or whatever the hell. And some of them are realizing that maybe that lifestyle isn't great. Maybe they're trying. And some of us girls, I mean, you know, we can be a cute little package, right? And it's almost like we're turning the gay guys back to straight. They're like, oh, wow, girls are like that now? Okay, well, maybe I should give them a chance. But I'm not the one that you're going to start with, right? You definitely should work with someone that's a little bit more understanding when it comes to that. Me, I don't, because it's one of those things that's tough. I can be empathetic. I mean, it's tough for me to even know, like, if you date a guy and he had an ex who kissed a girl or was into girls, that to me is still already pushing it, because they carry a certain energy about them that can, you know, transfer. And I'm like, listen, keep that over there, right? But I like a salt of the earth kind of guy. I like the mountain men type of guy, or a guy who's not scared to get his hands dirty, right? It doesn't matter the persuasion, the nationality. It's more of the mindset, like a man's man. I don't care if he's a cowboy or if he's cutting down trees or whatever. He's driving a truck, right? As long as it's someone that is knows he's a man, likes being a man, but treats women like he is a softie to his woman. Like, you can be rough and gruff with the guys or whatever. Obviously, being respectful to other women, but I want you to be sweet to me, and you know, we just get along that great, right? And that way I can do my feminine stuff and you can do your masculine things, and we can come together and make it happen. Got to get to work, guys. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Take care.